Prince Harry's anger isn't directed at the palace this time, nor at the relentless press. Insiders whisper that it's aimed straight at the woman he once believed was his safe place, Meghan Markle. Those close to them say the shift began quietly, somewhere between laughter and luxury on their trip to Paris. But everything detonated the moment Meghan uploaded a short video, filmed just a few steps from the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, the place where Princess Diana took her final breath. Witnesses say voices rose and doors slammed. Harry demanded an explanation, his composure cracking under the weight of disbelief. How could she do it there, of all places? How could she turn something sacred into a digital souvenir? Meghan, ever poised, dismissed it with a shrug, just another travel moment, another harmless clip. But for Harry, it was the opposite of harmless. It was heartless. Those who know the couple best claim it was the most explosive fight they've ever had. Harry, shaking and red-eyed, accused her of turning pain into performance. Meghan held her ground, insisting that the media had twisted everything again. Yet even as she spoke, something irreparable had broken. This wasn't a single argument. It was years of buried frustration surfacing all at once, the apology after apology, the public cleanup after every PR spark, the quiet exhaustion of pretending their union was still untouched by doubt. For the first time, friends who'd always defended them began to whisper what had once been unthinkable. That the love story which defied an empire might now be collapsing under its own legend, because when a man sacrifices his crown for love, only to feel humiliated by the woman he sacrificed it for, the ending starts writing itself. It began with a camera. Meghan Markle, perfectly lit, standing near the tunnel where Diana's life ended. Her expression unreadable, calm, maybe proud. A subtle smile, a tilt of the head, as if she'd accomplished something. Within hours, the clip flooded the internet. Critics called it tone-deaf. Others labeled it cruel, but Harry didn't care about headlines. He cared about what she didn't seem to see. That place isn't just asphalt and lights, it's the echo of the night that shattered his childhood. How could she walk those steps and not feel it? How could she film, pose, smile, and not think of the woman who raised him through whispers and grief? When backlash hit, Meghan told friends she hadn't realized the tunnel's significance. But anyone who's lived even a day around Harry knows that name, Pont de l'Alma, is carved into his very silence. Claiming ignorance was like saying she'd never asked who his mother was. That was the moment something in him shifted, the loyal husband who defended her against headlines, who clapped back at tabloids, who fought his own blood for her honor. That man hesitated. For the first time, his devotion wavered. To understand Harry's fury, you must understand the wound that never closed. That tunnel isn't just a landmark. It's the ghost of flashing bulbs, the last place he felt powerless to save someone he loved. He's carried that night like a scar beneath his smile for decades. And now his wife had turned it into a backdrop. She reportedly told him later it was a symbolic act, a way to reclaim the pain, walking through the darkness to reach the light. Maybe it sounded poetic in theory. But for Harry, symbolism doesn't soothe trauma when it's uploaded for millions to scroll past. Healing isn't cinematic. It's private. And this time, he hadn't been given a choice. That's what truly cut him. Meghan Markle hadn't just crossed a moral boundary, she'd crossed into his memory, the one place no one dared to touch. The place where Princess Diana still lived in whispers and candlelight. For Harry, that felt unforgivable. Not because it embarrassed him, but because it reminded him of something terrifying. Maybe he no longer knew who his wife really was. Patterns started replaying in his head. Trevor Engelson, her first husband, who supported her early Hollywood climb, left behind without ceremony. Corey Vitiello, the Toronto chef, a steady chapter abruptly closed when royal circles opened. Even her once closest friends, Jessica Mulroney, Nikki Pretty, Misha Nanu, names that faded as new stages arrived. Each phase of Meghan Markle's life had its own cast, and once the curtain dropped, she never looked back. Now insiders whisper that Prince Harry might simply be her latest transition. The woman who never falls, only evolves, may be preparing for her next transformation. From actress to duchess, duchess to global brand, and now perhaps from wife to myth, for Harry, realization is dawning like cold light through stained glass. The man who left the palace for love is starting to see the bars of a different kind of cage. Freedom isn't supposed to feel choreographed. Yet every move, every word, every silence in their home now feels rehearsed. Those who've seen him lately describe a man hollowed out by confusion. His smile is tight, his eyes searching for something that used to be there. He wonders when life turned from purpose to publicity, from partnership to performance. And the hardest thought of all, whether Meghan still sees him as her husband, or merely as half of a headline. Behind the walls of their mansion, the distance has grown thicker than the silence. Arguments rise faster. Reconciliations end sooner. One confidant said it simply, Harry isn't angry because she embarrassed him. He's angry because he finally recognizes how much of himself he's lost, and once a man realizes that, There's no going back. The Paris video might have been the spark, but the fire, slow and invisible, had been burning for years back in London. The tension surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle began to ripple through corridors older than memory. At first, whispers were dismissed as gossip. But soon those murmurs reached the palace walls, echoing all the way to King Charles, who now faced a question no father should ever be forced to ask: what do you do when the son you once carried behind your late wife's coffin becomes a stranger to you? According to insiders, meetings were held behind heavy doors. Advisors spoke of optics, of dignity, of monarchy survival. Some even dared to mention legal pathways, a single royal decree that could strip Harry and Meghan of their titles, ending the Sussex chapter in one royal signature. But Charles, weary and aging beneath the gold, hesitated. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw a boy walking through London's grey streets behind a flag-draped casket. Stripping him of titles might preserve the institution, but it would destroy what little remained of a father-son bond. The monarchy had weathered scandals before, but this one felt heavier, more personal. It wasn't the press attacking the crown. It was love itself unraveling in real time, exposing a truth the family had long feared, that history has a cruel way of repeating itself. Inside their California mansion, Prince Harry's days reportedly blurred into long silences and short conversations. The man who once spoke freely now paused before every sentence, afraid of how it might sound online. Even the walls seemed to listen. He spent hours alone in the garden, staring at the trees like they could offer clarity. Friends who visited say he looked thinner, older, as if the crown's weight had returned, only invisible this time. Meghan Markle, however, moved through the aftermath like a woman holding her own script. Publicly polished, camera-ready, she continued posting quotes about self-healing and new beginnings. To her fans, she was glowing. To Harry, she seemed distant, like she was already writing the next chapter without him. Each new post felt like a page torn from their marriage, turned into content for the world to interpret. What made it worse was that he had once been her defender. He had burned bridges for her, defied his bloodline for her, given up the only world he'd ever known. And now, watching her smile under studio lights, Harry wondered if he had ever truly known the woman he protected. Behind the scenes, insiders describe Meghan's tone as unbothered. She saw the Paris video backlash as a lesson in perception, not morality. In her view, the world was still obsessed with judging her, no matter what she did. But to Harry, it wasn't about the public's opinion anymore. It was about empathy, or the lack of it. He had begged her to understand why that tunnel mattered, why that image would reopen wounds no therapy could seal. Yet all he received was a calm nod and the same line: "It's not that deep." That phrase, sources say, broke him. Because for Harry, everything had always been deep. Every flashbulb reminded him of Princess Diana's final night. Every step outside reminded him that the same cameras that adored could also destroy. And now, as those same lenses focused on his wife, he saw the circle closing in, the same hunger for spectacle, the same blindness to pain. The argument in Paris didn't end. It just went silent. Days turned into weeks, and their public appearances became choreography. Meghan Markle would reach for his hand at red carpets, and Harry would offer the smile of a man still performing for peace. Photographers called it chemistry. Insiders called it damage control. When the royal advisors delivered their latest briefing to King Charles, one line stood out: "It's not about scandal anymore. It's about survival." The institution could endure headlines, but not heartbreak repeating itself. The palace feared that Harry, once the heart of global sympathy, was now becoming a cautionary tale, the prince who left one cage only to walk into another. And yet, deep down, Charles knew something the world didn't: his son's pain mirrored his own. The loneliness, the misunderstanding, the impossible balance between duty and desire. History wasn't just repeating. It was rhyming. Still, kings don't cry in public. He remained silent, knowing that any decision he made now would echo through generations. Meanwhile, in Montecito, Harry began to withdraw even further. Conversations with old army friends became rare. Calls from his brother went unanswered. Those who did manage to reach him say he speaks softly now, almost apologetically, as if every word might betray him. "He looks haunted," one friend said. "Like he's seeing ghosts in broad daylight." Perhaps he is. Because every time he closes his eyes, the same scene replays: headlights in Paris, his mother's name whispered, the tunnel swallowing everything. And then Meghan, standing in that same place, camera in hand. It's not just trauma. It's déjà vu turned cruel. Still, appearances must be kept. The couple continues to attend events, smiling for flashing bulbs. At one gala, Harry stood beside Meghan, their hands intertwined. To the world, they looked unbreakable. But those who watched closely noticed his hand tense every time a camera flash went off. The trauma wasn't fading. It was multiplying. The irony is bitter. Princess Diana once warned that fame is a hunger that never stops eating. And now her son stands in the same light, learning that lesson all over again. The more they try to control their image, the more it controls them. In a chilling twist, reports say Harry recently returned to Paris quietly, alone. No entourage, no cameras. Locals spotted him near the tunnel late at night, standing in silence. No phones, no words, just the hum of traffic passing by. To onlookers, he looked like a man confronting ghosts, the mother he lost and the woman he's losing. As dawn broke, he got back into his car, the city lights fading behind him. For a moment, his reflection in the window showed two faces, his own and hers. Diana and Meghan. Love and loss, one haunting the other. Back home, Meghan Markle was already drafting her next appearance, another podcast, another speech about strength and renewal. She would smile, she would thank her followers, she would talk about light. But for Prince Harry, light has always come with a cost, and as he sits beside her at another event, another sea of cameras exploding before them, he feels it again, the familiar tunnel closing in. The sound, the flashes, the silence that follows. Only this time, he isn't a boy watching a car disappear into darkness. He's a man realizing he may already be in his own, history isn't chasing him anymore. He's walking straight into it. And whether he finds the exit or vanishes within the glare, that, perhaps, is the real tragedy, because some tunnels aren't made of concrete. They're made of choices. And Prince Harry is learning, far too late, that love, fame, and freedom sometimes lead to the same dead end.